What is going on? Welcome to episode 48 of the Nintendo Powercast. I'm your host, N64 Josh, and player 2 on this one is none other than Mega Mag Witch. What's up, dude? Okay.
So I'm going to start right off with the controversial opinions. All right, I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I don't think they blend aesthetically with the rest of the Switch. I think it looks weird. Throwing it
Okay.
out there.
Well, all right. All right. They said they can't hear you, but I think I've remedied that. So, okay, sweet. There we go.
There I
We,
am.
we are
Beautiful. They
we
missed.
are
I
good.
said. I literally said the most profound things that you could ever imagine. Stream, and Josh botched it, and now you'll never know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for you.
Yeah, sorry guys. My computer updated, and so I actually recorded my entire last podcast speaking into this microphone, but recording out of the one in my iMac up there.
Ooh, you did
So
the old webcam
yeah,
record.
that was fun. That was great. So yeah,
just dub it. Just
hmm
listen to the podcast and say everything that you said and just re-record it.
yeah,
It'll be fine, right?
it'll be great. Good times. Good times. So I have to figure out all my old settings again. So we're doing this on the fly. So it's fun. But before we get started, if you'd like to get yourself a free audiobook from Audible, go to audibletrial.com/NPC. There you can get one of my now favorite books, Super Mario: How Nintendo Conquered America. It's a history of Nintendo, and another one I just recently read too that I really enjoyed was The Ultimate History of Video Games. So it's good stuff. audibletrial.com/NPC. I'm sitting in a chair from opseat.com. It's comfortable, it's affordable, it makes my back feel good. It's a gaming chair, and I really like it actually. I'm a pretty big fan. You can go to opseat.com, check out the selection of colors, and if you decide to get one, make sure to use coupon code N64Josh so you can save yourself $10. So that's opseat.com, coupon code N64Josh. Lastly, if you'd like to start your own podcast and you want to help support the show, go to podbean.com/NPC. That's where I host all of my shows, right there, podbean.com. And go do a free trial. See if it's for you. Get your voice out there. It's a good time. It's fun. I do it every week, a couple times a week even. You know, that's what I do. Podbean.com/NPC. So that's I'm done selling out.
You forgot to tell the kids to come bust a move where the games are played. It's fresh, it's hip, it's Noah's Arcade. I just feel like
they,
you left that out.
Oh, thank you for getting that in there too.
Yeah.
This is brought to you by Noah's Arcade. So we do this show live, twitch.tv/N64Josh, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're here with us, thank you so much. Looks like Serotonin, Kirby Geek, I saw K-Cross. Hello. Welcome, everybody. If you're just lurking, welcome. We're glad you're here. It's going to be a fun show. There's going to be a heated debate at the end on whether or not the Nintendo 64 is a good console or not. So, you know.
I mean, there's not going to be much heat from me because disputing facts just doesn't get me that heated that the N64 is objectively bad, but it's fine.
Oh, I feel heat, right? Is that... I feel. What is that?
The heat rising right now.
My blood is currently boiling. So no, it's going to be fun. We have a lot of Nintendo stuff to talk about. But before we do, you get to talk about Nintendo stuff and the Nintendo stuff that got you started in Nintendo, my man. What were some of your first games?
Some of my first games. Well, my journey with Nintendo and all video games started when I was a wee lad, fresh out of the womb. Nintendo NES controller in my hand, fresh out of the womb. My older brother is 11 years older than me, so he had the NES, he had a bunch of games he had acquired from friends. So I used to I used to watch my older siblings play Mega Man 3 and Mario 3. Basically, if a game starts with an M and it's the third entry, it's probably the best in the world. So those are the two first games that I fell in love with when I was a kid. That to this day I can beat them blindfolded backwards. First game I ever beat, I think, was Mega Man 3, followed shortly by Mario 3. Really, anything on the NES, I'm obsessed with the NES to this day. I think it's like its simplicity is higher than that of like it's not as simple as the Atari, but it doesn't get more complex like some SNES games do. It's just two buttons and a D-pad, and how can you make a game out of that? And they knock it out of the park with 10% efficiency on good games on that console. I think like 700 games, I'd say 70 of them at least are good that I would enjoy to play, which is higher than most consoles. Then I like most kids, I moved on from the regular Nintendo and adapted to the Super Nintendo as time wore on, and tried this 4-button 2-bumper nonsense. I was big still on Mega Man with the Mega Man X, and really enjoyed Super Punch Out. That's a game that I really, really liked on the Super Nintendo. I used to go over to my neighbor's house and play Super Punch Out all the time, along with one of the worst games like ever, Mario is Missing. I used to play that all the time. Mario's Time Machine and Mario is Missing were like two of my favorite games when I was a kid, and they're just abysmal, terrible games. But we played them all the time, and I don't know why. And I didn't learn a damn thing from either one of those games. So it was not worth it. It was a terrible time.
Question from the chat. You remember Clay Fighter?
Oh yeah, Clay Fighter is that game that is at every used game store in the world. You always see it. I've seen it everywhere I've ever been. I've never bought it. I don't know why. I see it everywhere, and I'd never once thought I need to pick up a copy of Clay Fighter. Like, it's never even entered my mind that it would be a fun game to play, but I'm familiar with it at least.
I have to look and see if I still have I had the original. Like back in the day, I had the original. You know,
yeah, the Clay Fighter. See, I was the mainstream kid playing his Killer Instinct over here. I didn't delve into that.
I did eventually get to the Killer Instinct. Oh, that's my.
You had to, baby.
Yeah. Hey, we agree on something.
Like, that's where it's at. All right.
Fulgore for me, but you know.
Oh my!
I was the kid in the arcade that literally had like grown men behind me, like, kid, how are you doing the Ultra Combo? I'm like, go buy my book on how to play Killer Instinct. You
went to audible.com and got the How to Win at Nintendo and listened to how to
I called the power line or whatever all the time.
Oh my gosh, the Nintendo Power Hotline. I still have a bunch of Nintendo Power magazines from when I was a kid too. Right around the end of the Super Nintendo is where most of ours come from. That was when we were obsessed with Donkey Kong Country, of course, like everybody else. I remember Donkey Kong Country 3 coming out, and we would obsessively pore over the Nintendo Power magazines, looking for like the maps to the levels and trying to find everything to trade between all the Bear Brothers and everything in that game. And I love those games. And then we moved on to a console that was great at the time. That it didn't age very well, but it was great at the time. The N64. I think my stepbrother got the N64 and I got a PlayStation 1, and we had a lot of arguments about which one was better that revolved around the fact that the N64 had twice as many bits. So we fully bought into that bits they were the deal breaker on if a game was good or not. It was all about the bits.
Yeah, you gotta have the bits.
Yeah, and totally I can't argue with him to this day that the PlayStation 1 only had 32 bits. And he had the N64. It's way better. N64, I was all about. I never played like the big hitters, like Ocarina of Time. I never played it once as a kid. I never even would have known it existed. I never played a Zelda game until I was like 17. Like I never played any Zelda games. Except for I had Link's Awakening on the Game Boy, which was probably, in all honesty, Game Boy is probably my second favorite Nintendo console after the NES. Like, I love the Game Boy to death. As I showed you before the podcast, I have 4 of these Play It Loud Game Boys sitting right here because I'm obsessed with the Game Boy, and
One with
I had the
Tetris
game.
in it. I see. I like it.
Oh, of course. You gotta have. I mean, if you didn't put. Oh, there's got to be a Tetris in here, right? In the green one.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. There it is. Good. Phew. I think my only Game Boy games I had as a kid, I had like Casper the Friendly Ghost, Street Fighter 2, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Fall of the Foot Clan, and like Tetris. I had like 4 games, and Mega Man 2. Of course, I had a Mega Man game, and then Link's Awakening. And I could never even figure out how to get past like the first screen on Link's Awakening. I always thought Zelda games were just like impossibly cryptic, and I would just never try them because of that. I was like, this is the stupidest thing ever. I'm never playing this again. And I didn't. And then
Is that a Virtual Boy behind you?
oh, of course. You gotta have the Virtual Boy. You gotta. That is when we get to our debate later. I'll accept Virtual Boy as the only console that's worse than the N64. All right, when it comes to Nintendo consoles, 'cause that thing is a real turd. Let me tell you.
But dude, all the free migraines. I mean,
Oh yeah. Oh, the best part about the Virtual Boy is, that it's incredibly awkward to use, and it comes with all that great sex appeal of you being hunched over, trying to push your face into it without it like falling over, or you can lay down with it on your head, and it's perfectly designed with this little round part, like right in the middle, that digs into your nose and just increases that pressure for a migraine. It's great. I love the Virtual Boy. It's worth owning it only for Wario Land, and then maybe the I have Telro Boxer on it. That game's pretty cool too. And that's like it. Like, what else do you play on the Virtual Boy? Nothing, if you're like most people.
where you were like, Dad, let me borrow your belt. I need to strap this thing to my face so I can stand up.
If only my parents had loved me enough to buy me a Virtual Boy as a child. That thing, that monstrosity back there is just a symptom of me not getting enough love as a kid and having to waste my money on useless products that barely work today. But okay, N64. I never played Ocarina of Time. I only played Super Smash Bros. Like one time when I was a kid. So the N64 for me was all about Mario. Obviously, Mario 64 was the game on it, and Donkey Kong 64 and Perfect Dark. Those are like the only 3 games I think I ever used my N64 for. Like, I never played Banjo-Kazooie. I never played Conkers. I never did anything on it. That was it for me. Mario Kart I wasn't huge into. I didn't love it.
Racing?
I didn't even know Diddy Kong Racing existed until I started collecting games, like when I was like years later. I don't know what it is. Like, nobody. And Mario Party. I loved Mario Party.
Wave
I burnt
Race?
many.
F-Zero?
Nope. No F-Zero X.
Did you
No
get
F-Zero
the
X for
blister in the center of your hand?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Of course.
Did you get the glove sent to you?
Of course. How many broken N64 joysticks are there because of that stupid Shy Guy wind up game where you had to try to get him to like fly around the room in the first Mario Party? I remember the N64 is my stepbrother's, and he's super anal about taking care of everything that he owns, like meticulously. So he wouldn't let any of us do that except for him, because he's like, you'll break the joystick. So of course, anytime he wasn't home, we just went to town on it. Like, definitely destroyed those joysticks. He was right. He definitely had the right idea of mine not letting us do it, but we still did it anyway. Oh man. Then once the N64 was outsville, I was a PlayStation 2 kid at first, but I quickly also begged my parents were divorced, so you got to play both sides, baby. You get, just like I got the PlayStation 1 from my mom. I had a Sega Saturn from my dad. I feel like I'm one of the select few that actually owned the Sega Saturn, like when it was out in its prime, and played Nights into Dreams all the time at his place. But so I played both sides. I got the GameCube by playing both sides that way, and Super Mario Sunshine was obviously like, that was my I probably have more hours on that than any Mario game, because I was just like, I just love running around in Super Mario Sunshine. I think it's one of the like prettiest, most fun games to explore in. But again, talking to a man I didn't play Wind Waker on it because it was a Zelda game, and I assumed that they were dumb and impossible. I've corrected since. The
Okay.
story has a happy ending where I've played every Zelda except for I haven't played Twilight Princess, the DS ones, or Skyward Sword, but I've played all the other ones now.
Okay.
So,
That's
and
pretty
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the series now. I just wasn't then at the time. I thought they were going to be dumb and impossible or stupid and kiddie and cartoony because everybody had that phase at some point in their life. I feel like where they tried to reject the Nintendo that was deep in their veins, you know. There's 12-year-olds to this day that are yelling about how Nintendo's for babies, all right? And you got to get over that, kids. You got to play what's fun.
I just want to point out that Kirby Geek says this story has a happy ending. Your story has a happy ending, unlike most of my stories. She just, because I often bring the disappointment when I say I haven't played this game or I haven't played that game.
Give me a game right now. I need an example.
Chrono Trigger. Never played it.
Oof, that's rough right there to hear. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Never.
I mean,
never played
I'd be with you.
Resident Evil 4.
I see. I haven't played that one either, so we're cool. We can both. I've never played that. I've never played any Resident Evil game beyond like the first zombie in Resident Evil 1. That's it. That's as far as I ever made it. Exactly. Yeah. I was like, screw this. I'm not dealing with this. This is stressful.
I'm out.
I don't play games to be stressed out the whole time. No, thank you. All right. Ugh. Hardcore pass on that, but I would have been right there with you with Chrono Trigger because I didn't play any RPGs. They seemed like they were boring when I was a kid.
Well, there was reading involved. I'm like, I need action. School
Yeah.
is where I read, and I try to get out of that. So
Exactly. You're talking to the kid who's over here claw gripping Mega Man X so he can slide dash faster and jump off walls. Like, I don't want to take time to read. Ugh, reading.
Why are your hands shaped like that? Don't worry about it. Help me crack my knuckles.
I swear I'm going to have carpal tunnel by the time I'm 30 because of the way that I hold Super Nintendo controllers to play that game. Because I didn't know that you could just tap the D-pad twice to slide when I was a kid.
No.
I thought you had to hit which one is it on these controllers? The A button. There it is. I always get my letters mixed up. But yeah, you can hit the A button to dash. You got to hold X to charge and B to jump. So I'll hold X to charge, slide my thumb down to B to jump. You know, the classic Mario, hold B, pivot the thumb. But then how do I slide? So I had to claw grip it over, and I'm just over here dash sliding and jumping all the time. It was worth it in the long run because I'm pretty good at Mega Man X now. But
well, that's good.
That's all that really matters.
That's the main thing.
Exactly. Main thing in my life is being good at that. I never played Super Smash Bros. Melee as a kid, save for one scenario. Before we had a GameCube, do you remember this? Renting video game consoles.
Oh yeah, of course.
It was my stepbrother's like 13th birthday. I don't even know how old he was. Maybe he was like 15, but we rented a GameCube and Super Smash Bros. Melee. And I just remember a bunch of his friends were over and we just played Super Smash Bros. Melee in the basement. And that was the one time I played Super Smash Bros. Like as a kid. And I just got my butt kicked the entire time. And I thought it was like, I was like, this is stupid. I hate this game because I just was just me getting trashed by these older kids like the entire time. I was like, this sucks. Why would anybody want to do this? Why would you want to play this? So I had a very long hatred of Super Smash Bros. That I eventually got over. And I love that series now. Mario Kart Double Dash, though, that's when I fell in love with Mario Kart, was on the GameCube.
Okay.
I was all about Double Dash. Me and my neighbor would hang out and we would try to like get all the gold star cups, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Like I love that it was co-op. I always loved playing co-op games as a kid. I'm not a very competitive gamer. Despite the fact that I mostly play like PvP games now, because it's what most games are, but I've always been more, and I got more enjoyment out of co-op and doing things together, which is something you got more of on Nintendo than a lot of other consoles. Other than that, I'm trying to think of major first-party GameCube games. Like I didn't play Luigi's Mansion as a kid. I don't know what I had on that thing, but I played it all the time. So I played
Metroid.
I didn't play Metroid. The first time I played a Metroid Prime game was when they were all for sale on the Wii U, and like the Metroid Prime bundle, that like the
Trilogy?
trilogy bundle. Yeah, that was the first time I ever played one. Because those were very. I played like the NES Metroid, and it was so cryptic and weird that I was like, I can't play these games. I'll never figure it out. um, and but the honestly, I think the game I played the most, other than Mario Sunshine, was like Sonic Adventure 2 on the GameCube. The two battle like. I don't know. I've played City Escape like 8,000 times. It's not even. It's really. It should be frowned upon to discuss such a thing on the Nintendo Powercast. That's playing the. But really, it shows Nintendo's dominance. You know, like we
Right.
trashed you so hard, we took your best games and put them on our console. All right. That's just how it was. And if you didn't grind at least 600 hours in the Chow Garden Chow race, then I don't know what's wrong with you. If Chow Karate is the ultimate PvP experience, really. And let's see. Continuing the Nintendo journey, I had a Game Boy Advance at some point in there, but I think I owned like 2 actual Advance games, and I just played my color games, Game Boy Color games on it like forever. I played Pokemon Pinball up until the point that I broke my Game Boy Advance while playing Pokemon Pinball when I was in high school because I was going to evolve my Charmeleon into a Charizard finally after years of playing the game. I was like 1 hit away in that game, and I hit it just wrong, and my ball flew down into the hole, and I got so mad. I just like gave the screen like a darn it, like a hit on. I said something much more explicit, I'm sure. Tap on the screen, and then my Game Boy Advance screen went all black and never turned back on again. So Pokemon Pinball killed my Game Boy Advance, and I'm still sad about it to this day. I still have the Game Boy Advance. It's just sitting there, tragically black screened forever. It can still hear I can still hear the game when you turn it on, though, so it still works. It just needs to get the screen fixed.
Yeah, maybe just resolder that thing, you know?
Yeah, that's a safe. I should really do that, honestly.
Yeah.
Or at least send it to some dude on eBay who'll tell me that he'll do it, and then he'll like say he never got it, and
that's
even
a
lying.
better. That's a better plan. Just give it away for free. I like that too. That works. Someone else can listen to it play. It's nice.
Perfect. Yeah, I played that, and I played Pokemon Gold for like 500 hours. Like once a year, I'll go through a phase where I pop in Pokemon Gold, and I'm like, well, time to grind out like 50 hours of this game this year. And eventually, I did complete the Pokédex in Pokemon Gold. I got it the year it came out. I probably got it like the day it came out because I was obsessed with Pokemon at that point, like most youth. It took me from then until my senior year in high school, but I filled out the Pokédex, and that means it was like a decade-long span. Like Gen 4 had been out for a while when I completed the Gen 2 Pokédex. That's where I'm at with my.
And then the battery died.
Yeah, it actually did right after. It waited all that time until I completed the Dex, and I remember my last Pokemon was Delibird or something like that. He was only in silver and crystal. And I had a friend who had crystal, and on a bus ride, this is how you know I'm cool. A marching band bus ride trip. He took a copy of crystal with him, started a new game, and beat like the first 7 gyms on that bus ride so he could catch a Delibird and trade it to me. And as he was like leveling up the gyms, I would trade him more and more powerful Pokemon so he could like speed run through the game.
I love this.
It was like the lamest thing of all time.
No, it's
Like,
awesome.
it's awesome. So thanks to him and my random like level 36 Charmeleon that was on my gold, we managed to get that Dex completed.
That trip guaranteed you to not have a girlfriend for the rest of high school, basically.
Pretty much. Basically. Well, luckily my girlfriend, now wife, had already graduated, so she didn't have to see it. So we're set. She didn't know what we were up to on those bus rides. All right. That trip is where I became a man. All right.
But he got a Delibird.
I got the Delibird, so who needs anything else? All right. So boom. Anybody out there, if you're thinking it's too late to complete your Pokédex, it's not too late. You can do it too.
Get back in the marching band and take a bus ride. You'll be set. Who's the guy on our bus? Don't worry about it, kids. I'm here for the Pokemon.
I just imagined you on the back of a bunch of high schooler bus, just a full-grown bearded man with a Game Boy in the back. Like, anybody want to trade?
Anybody got a? I brought the cable. Anybody?
I brought the cable and my worm light for the LED screen so I can see. Those lights suck. All right, I hate those lights. I hate them so much. I would rather be in the backseat of a car trying to play off of the street lamps than trying to play with the worm light. Is all I'm gonna say. Okay. After GameCube and Game Boy Advance, I skipped the DS. I didn't really do the DS. I'd fallen out of love with Pokemon when the DS was around, and I was like, oh, it's too late now. Who cares? What else am I going to play on a DS? Got the Wii like everyone else. Didn't really play much of the Wii. Got into Mario Galaxy after it had been out for a while. Love that, obviously. Yeah. Other than that, the Wii was just something that we had that I never used, that I never really understood the appeal of until I got a little bit older and started collecting games. Then I got into it and played some more games on it eventually. Like there was a Knights sequel on it, so I could relive my Sega Saturn love on the Wii. But then we got to the Wii U, a console that I'm one of like 10 people that loves the Wii U. I'm like the only defender of the Wii U on the internet. Perfect, because the Wii U did a lot right, all right? I mean, it's not a perfect thing. It's not a perfect console by any means, but when the Wii U was announced, I distinctly remember a fellow Husky Raid member, he was my roommate at the time, being like, I'm never going to buy that. That looks terrible and stupid. And I was like, yeah, totally. And then in the back of my head, I'm like, I really want to buy that. It looks really cool.
I need that.
I need that thing. And it's our proto Switch, the Wii U, you know? The Switch is everything I wanted the Wii U to be, basically. Right. I wanted to be able to move more than 30 feet away from the thing and be able to use it still, not have to position it strategically so I could use it in my bed or on the toilet. But eventually, I did find the perfect distance for my Wii U to be set so I could do that.
There's some things we don't need to know, but it's okay.
It's about the journey. It's about the journey.
We gotta get through it all to get to the end. So.
Yeah, I'd say I fell out of love with Nintendo between the GameCube and the Wii U, and fell back in love with it around like the Wii U is when I got back into Nintendo games. I loved all the like first party games on the Wii U. I think are great. Nintendo Land is like an amazing party game.
Oh,
like
totally
I think it's
is.
like the best party game that like I've ever played. Like if you can get people to sit down and actually give it a shot, we've spent like 4 hours straight just playing the Animal Crossing candy game before. Like, it's so addicting. It's so much fun.
And Mario Chase, seeing the person's face on the TV as they're like the mega concentration trying to, and you're just like mocking them the whole time, like. Look at their face, you know. My kids love the Luigi Mansion one too. Like that's got it. It's got great party games. For sure.
It has such unique opportunities as a console that I love with its asymmetrical design that you can do, where people get a different experience depending on if you're the player on the TV or the one on the tablet. You don't get there's very few gaming opportunities in the world where you can count on people being on two different screens where they can't like really peek at each other, you know, like it's such a cool thing to design around. And the biggest problem with the Wii U is it never really went that little extra bit. It never fully realized what it could have been. If it had like a Nintendo Land sequel, more games like that, I feel like it had opportunity there they never got to seize. I even remember being blown away with the Wii U like trailer when it came out. One of my favorite trailer things ever is the golf game where he sets the tablet down on the ground and he like there's like an aerial view of the golf ball and he goes and he swings and it shows the club hit on the little screen, hit the ball, and then he picks it up and holds it at the TV and it like zooms in on the ball on the Wii U screen when he holds it up on the TV. I was like, this is the future when I saw that trailer. That blew my mind, man. That's the most advanced gaming tech to ever be invented if it can actually do that. Oh man.
This is the future. Yeah, remember they showed like the first tech stuff was like the WarioWare game or whatever that came out with like those pirate ships and all that kind of stuff. And wasn't there either a game like with the like your mom would like catch you playing video games or something like that. Like you had to like shut the lights off or something. I can't remember. There was some goofy stuff in that, but yeah, I mean that Animal Crossing game you were mentioning, that was the first game we got to play 6 players with because 2 people would hold on to the gamepad, and then the other 4 of us. So I mean, I got 4 kids and my wife, so all 6 of us were able to play in one setting. You know, it didn't last long before they were like, okay, what's next? You know, but that was
a beautiful
cool.
thing right there.
Yeah, it was
beautiful.
cool.
You see, that's families being brought together, and that's what Nintendo offers that people don't realize. It's just these family experiences, whether they be your blood family or your heart family. You know, the people that you love, they're your family. That's what Nintendo does. It does what Genesis isn't. I don't know.
We got to keep going. I'm getting creeped out.
Sorry. Let's move on. So there's your not so quick timeline of me on every single Nintendo console that I ever owned, and also the 3DS in there somewhere. Who cares?
Hey, you know what? You said like for a while we've been trying to. This has been in the makings, right? And you're like, I just want to be able to talk Nintendo. Like,
yeah.
I had you on the Destiny podcast, and you were like, "Damn, thanks for having me on, but I actually really want to be on the Nintendo one."
Like, I want to talk about Nintendo. I like Nintendo more than Destiny by like 10,000 times. So if we could just talk about that.
I show up in your stream, and you're wearing a Mega Man helmet, playing Mega Man games, and I'm like, I thought I loved this man before, but now there's the helmet.
Someone say Mega Man helmet right here.
There it is.
I mean, I'd pop it on if I wasn't wearing headphones.
Yeah,
but, I keep it handy.
The most uncomfortable helmet in the history of helmets, right there. Like
definitely true. That's why I have my knitted Mega Man hat as well, so that I don't have to wear
that's
the
like
full size helmet.
Is that the skull cap for the other one, so that it doesn't hurt quite as bad?
Yeah, exactly. So it keeps it. It doesn't get aged.
Chat wants to know if you have the matching blaster.
I don't have the plastic blaster. What I have a blow-up Mega Man arm blaster and a much more unique item, which is a Mega Man foam finger that was only given away at Comic-Con when Mega Man Universe was due to be released. It's a canceled Mega Man game. It never came out, but they gave them away. So it says Mega Man Universe on it, and I also have a signed piece of Mega Man Universe promotional artwork by the game's original producer, before tragically it was canceled. So no plastic blaster, because my helmet was kind of a piece of junk and the lights didn't even work on the side of it like they were supposed to. So I was like, I'm not going to blow a bunch of money on a blaster too if it's going to be equally junk. And I don't like supporting Capcom because they've done a lot to harm my boy Mega Man. So I try not to give in to the rampant consumerism that drives me if I can help it for the Mega Man series, even though I end up buying most things that they release anyway. I can't help myself. Yeah.
So my memory is a little bit foggy on this, but I went to the Art Institute of Seattle for 1 quarter and then realized this was way too expensive and I did not want to have that much debt. But while I was there, Adi Granov is his name. He is the guy that basically designed Iron Man for the movies. Okay. For the movies. He's actually in the special, like the behind the scenes stuff. You can see him there. Like, he's designed his costume every time. Well, and we weren't supposed to even mention this at the time, but it's been long enough. It doesn't matter. He actually did some work for Capcom to revitalize some of their characters. And his artwork for Mega Man, bro, was pretty awesome. He did Mega Man and he did Strider, and it was a thing of beauty. It would have made you happy to see it. I wish I could have had I have a poster, but it just has Iron Man on it that's signed by him. While we were there, he did a little he showed up at the school. And,
you talked about your stories having unhappy endings. The fact that I'm not seeing this Mega Man art right now, I know, is the ultimate unhappy ending.
I know, but
that's where we're at.
It
turns out his artwork was the Mega Man 1 box art artwork, and it's just terrible.
No, he had him kind of like the whole used future kind of thing. Like he wasn't all shiny and everything. He was he is Mega Man that went through some stuff. So
rather than
he
the
had lived a
shiny
little.
Astro Boy that we always get with Mega Man, I could get down with a little bit of a grizzled, hardened Mega Man.
Yeah, not
All
quite
right.
the same voice as the Mega Man from Captain N, but you
Mega High. That one, Mega Man, the green. Wasn't he green in
I
that
think
show? Like
so.
what the heck is that about, dude? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it wasn't everything Mega something, Mega High,
Yeah,
Mega.
yeah,
Yeah.
terrible. All right, I'd rather watch. I'll take the Mega Man 8 cutscenes over that, and the Mega Man 8 cutscenes are pretty bad. Let me tell you. Oh my gosh.
All right. Well, you do some streaming. Let's talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that. Let's talk about your stream. How often do you stream? What do you stream? Like, give it to us.
Stream every single weekday from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/megamagwitch. Kind of all over the place right now. Much like yourself, I'm a Destiny fan, so a lot of Destiny on there, but I've been getting into Fortnite lately. I've been streaming Mario Odyssey lately. I want to introduce more of the Nintendo games to the crowd, but I got to kind of sprinkle it in because not everybody's ready to accept that Nintendo is the powerhouse of the gaming world, all right? I got to sprinkle it in slowly for them.
Yeah,
I'm planning on doing a Mario Odyssey stream probably tomorrow because I want to I've been collecting moons, as I mentioned today while I was streaming. I've been collecting moons. I've got like 300 of them stashed up without going to the Odyssey, so I'm waiting to turn them all in until I've gone to every single level through the warp painting, so I can just basically kill 20 minutes on stream of moons going into the Odyssey.
You're just gonna sit back, just throw your hands behind your head, just
easiest time of my life right there, baby. Easy peasy. Oh man, yeah.
That's rad. I watched somebody on Reddit do like 480, and I was like, "What?
That bastard! I have to beat that now. Now I have to spend all my coins buying more moons than him. Thanks.
There you go. Just make sure it's all recorded so you can take
481 moons into the Odyssey.
That's right. That's right. Well, very cool, man. Very cool. So we're gonna get into just the regular part of our show now. You get to be the co-host. So hope you're.
All right, I'm ready.
I hope you're
Perfect.
cool with that. So you've been playing some Odyssey. I've been playing some
Yes.
Odyssey. I've played a little Doom, which I think is it's pretty good. We're going to talk about that more in the reviews and impressions section. And I picked up Rocket League late last night, and while I was streaming Odyssey, I won't name any names, but somebody didn't let me know that it went live while I was streaming, and so I was hoping to play with said person, but I had to go to my friends list and see that said person was already playing Rocket League and was like, it can be downloaded? What? So said person is here. I won't name any names, but
whoever you are, you're dead to me.
I had a great time. Harassing said person last night. So.
Perfect. Well, I guess we'll wait till the impressions and reviews. I was going to ask how Rocket League ran on the Switch to decide if I should buy it.
Well, it runs very well. And I'll get into I'm going to have a full review going up on YouTube tonight, actually. I have it all written out. I just got to record the audio for it. But it's definitely worth a pickup.
Look at that. There it is.
I mean,
I can disappoint my teammates by not guarding the goal effectively on Switch now.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Well, and you can play, it's cross-play with Xbox and PC, so, so that's kind of, if you want the Mario or Luigi car, which makes the Mario or Luigi jump sound when you jump,
Sold.
Yeah,
Sold.
Right.
Sold.
It's pretty fun. As far as pickups, guys, I picked up a lot of games over the last week. Battle Crashers, Doom. I finally got a hold of Poi, or Poe, or however you say it. I got the Snipper Clips physical copy. Sonic Forces. The coolest thing. I got an orange and white new 2DS at my Target, clearanced for $75. I'm like, why is this clearance? And the guy was like, oh, it's the 2DS. It's the older model. I'm like, all right, we're not going to talk about this any longer. I'm just
I'm
going
not
to
going to correct you.
I'm going to just take this
fine.
right to the counter. And
every time I'm in a game store like that where there's Nintendo products, I feel like Ron Swanson when he goes to the hardware store in Parks and Rec, and the guy's like, "Hi, can I help you?" He's like, "I know more than you," and just walks right by him. All right, that was you in that moment. You were just, "I know more than you. Leave me alone."
that was good stuff for sure. That I was having that exact moment. So let's see. Kirby Geek says us in the Discord still believe Josh tagged that new DS himself and tricked the system. No, I actually didn't even notice it. My wife and I were walking by and she's like, "Hey, isn't that the new 2DS that's got a clearance sticker on it for $75?" I'm like, "Well, yes." Okay, because she goes, "Oh, it's a clearance 2DS," and I'm like, "Oh, the wedge." Okay, so she said 75. I'm like, "Oh, it's $5 off." She's like, "No, it's the clamshell." I'm like, "What?" So, yeah, it was. I don't know. Their website still sells it for $150, so I don't know what was going on in my store.
Score for you.
Yeah. So I might actually try to sell it and buy that Super Nintendo 3DS because that thing looks really cool. So, and
why did Nintendo ever abandon just using the Super Nintendo color scheme for the buttons for everything that they ever release? Just the Super Nintendo color scheme is like perfect. Like the beautiful bright face buttons and that gray and purple, just it's beautiful. Just use it for everything ever. Enough with this black and red and blue nonsense. All right, stick with what works, guys. Tired of doing the work for you, Nintendo.
Exactly.
Let's go.
Exactly. So, as far as we're not going to go over the whole, it's just there's so many games coming out, guys. Just you can check nintendo.com/games/coming soon. LA Noire came out today. This is another massive week for game releases. We got Skyrim on Friday, the Telltale's game, Ben 10. I'm just going off the top of my head here. The Little Do 2, I think, is another one. I think that's actually down in my mailbox right now. I've got to go check. But there's so many games on the Switch. It's crazy. Plus, I'm pretty sure this is Pokemon week. I think new Pokemon come out on Friday as well. Ultra Moon and Ultra Sun. So a lot of games. Mirage Leonardo 84 just mentioned in the chat, which I do have in my notes, but we're just going to mention it now. It says Walmarts are supposed to restock the SNES Classic this week.
Ooh.
From my understanding, it starts tomorrow, and it's for the next 3 days, and it's one per customer. So if you haven't got a hold of a SNES Classic yet, go to your. Sorry you have to go to Walmart, but if you really want to get a hold of one of these things, go check your local Walmart. And
if you're desperate for that Star Fox 2,
yeah,
now's your chance, people.
Yeah,
all right?
If after what Eric said about Star Fox 2 in the last episode, I don't know that anybody that listens to this show will be excited for Star Fox 2.
I'm not sure what he said because I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm gonna probably agree with him because it's not that good. But
I think he said, "I can't stop driving into walls." I think is what something along those lines. So,
fair.
But we had a Nintendo Direct, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It actually happened last Tuesday, and I just forgot to add it to my notes. So I, didn't get to bring it up. I'm actually intimidated by this game.
I would be too.
I'm not much of a JRPG person at all. Supposedly, it's 120 hours.
Dude, the first I have the first Xenoblade multiple. I bought it on the 3DS and the Wii. I bought it on the Wii when it was hard to get. I found a cheap copy.
Yeah.
And then GameStop was like, "Oh, we found a bunch of them. Oh yeah, now there's a bunch more, and it's not as hard to get anymore." So that sucks for me. I'm out some money there, but it's fine. That is a game that I just cannot. I couldn't handle it. It's too big. There's too much to do, and I was just like, nope. It was Zelda all over again for me as a kid. I was just like, nope, too much. Can't handle it. Can't figure it out. I'm putting this down forever. I'm sure Xenoblade 2 will be similarly phenomenal. And I'm also sure I would make it like 10 minutes into it and be overwhelmed knowing there was so much more left to do.
Kirby Geek's like, I like how in the Xenoblade Direct, it was like, do you remember when we told you about this? And she's like, I was like instantly all no. Yeah, I'm. It's way. Mirage says it's way more than 120.
Mm-hmm.
He's at. I'm at 210 hours. He says in Xenoblade Chronicles 1, and just reached the middle of the story. Like, what? You know?
Yeah, I don't have 400 hours to dedicate to a JRPG like that. I can't do it. It looks beautiful, the first Xenoblade. Second one similar, but I just keep. Who can do it? I guess if you love JRPGs, and I'm happy for all JRPG lovers out there because the first Xenoblade's supposed to be phenomenal. I just can't get through it.
Well, I'm gonna attempt it at least. I'm gonna give it a go. I don't know what I'm gonna. I'll probably end up defaulting back to Skyrim or something, but I at least want to try. And we'll see. Hopefully, as I stream it, hopefully chat can just be like, you can do it. I'll just be like, cut me, Mick. Just like
cut me, Mick. Now we're talking about my favorite film franchise while talking about Nintendo, so we're really hitting my sweet spots now.
Kirby Geek says she's going to attempt to play this, so that'll be good. We can be support for each other through it, I think. So
I will support you in your endeavor, but
all right.
There's zero chance. I'll probably buy it someday, inevitably, and it'll just sit on my shelf like Xenoblade Chronicles 3DS does right now, because after already failing to play the Wii one, I was like, maybe I'll get further if I play it on a handheld, because I can just turn it on and play whenever I'm going. No, didn't happen. So
my guess, what I would do with that is I would forget exactly where I was and how to do anything at that point.
That's pretty much what happened. Yeah. that's accurate.
So good.
But you know what you should do instead? You should play Chrono Trigger.
I need to. I could at least pick it up on like DS or something, but
DS version's great. It's got the PlayStation cutscenes in it, the live, like the animated cutscenes.
Oh,
so
that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
There you go.
So Mario Bros. Set to jump to the big screen in movie deal with Universal's Illumination.
Yes.
This is hilarious. I mean,
revive Bob Hoskins from the grave. I don't care what kind of devil deal you have to make. Get me my Mario back and end this cliffhanger that I've been on for the last 20 years of what was happening in the Mushroom Kingdom at the end of that first movie. Daisy comes back to the real world and she's like, you gotta come back. It's the Back to the Future 2 ending, or Back to the Future 1 ending. It's, you gotta come back with me, Mario and Luigi. And then there's no sequel. And I have been pining for a sequel to this movie since I was a kid. I know that that's not what this stupid animated movie is going to be, but I'm going to dream that they at least reference it and give me some sort of conclusion. I'm not even kidding when I say my number one most desired sequel in the history of movies is the Super Mario Bros. Movie. All right. There is no movie I would fast track a sequel to faster than that one. Okay. Because I need to know what was happening. I was invested in that movie as a kid. I'm excited for anything Mario related on film. I doubt they'll top it.
We're gonna have to like get a Kickstarter going or something to like
to revive this. Bob Hoskins.
Yeah,
to get Muppy Bob Hoskins back.
Yeah, the best comment on the Reddit post was, "I just want Danny DeVito to play all the parts." So that you know.
Do you think Charles Martinet will do the voice in the movie?
That's a good question. I would bet probably. You think Jen Taylor will do Peach?
I don't know. I feel like they're just gonna get some SNL cast members or some random late night talk show hosts like they do for every animated movie. But I hope it's them. It'd be weird to have Mario be like he is in the old 80s or 90s cartoons and have a really gruff voice all of a sudden. Like, I don't know if I could handle it.
Like, what was his name? Captain Lou or whatever? think that was
yes. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He was a wrestler with a really long goatee.
Yeah, Lou Albano or
yeah,
something like
Lou
that.
Albano.
Yeah. We're the Mario Brothers, and plumbing's a game. We're not like the others. That used to be my cell phone ringtone. That's the only reason I know the words. I swear.
I was like, wow. I know it's on Netflix, but who watches it?
It's just me. I'm the reason they keep it on Netflix.
Yeah. Don't take it off ever. So yeah. I mean, I was really surprised when I saw this. I was like, wow. Universal and Nintendo have a history that's goes all the way back to Donkey Kong, and them suing Nintendo over the fact that Kong was in Donkey Kong's name, and then turned out they didn't own the rights they thought they did to King Kong, and ended up paying Nintendo like $1.8 billion. Back in like the early '80s.
Oh my gosh!
I mean, good on them. It probably really helped push Nintendo further along. So, I mean, it's turned out to be a good thing.
Nintendo's lawyers back in the '80s were like assassins. Like their '90s and '80s lawyers, like the things that they pulled off. It was like, what? Like they got sued for having a monopoly on video games, and somehow it ended with them paying out with vouchers for Super Nintendo coupons or something. $5
off coupons.
Yeah, like
for
what
the
are
NES
you talking
games. Yeah.
What? Like, what are you talking about? Right? How do you make that happen? That's the most magical lawyer thing I've ever seen in my life.
I believe after the Universal suit, they made him like, they put him high up in the company. I believe it was Howard Phillips, but I could be mistaken. I've only read the book a couple times, so I'm trying to get all the names down. But yeah, I mean he went for it, man, and it paid off because everybody else buckled under Universal. Like Coleco was supposed to have the rights for Donkey Kong initially, and they just started. They're like, okay, we'll pay you whatever, and Nintendo fought it, and they ended up winning. So yeah, this could be really cool. I mean, like kind of the whole Pixar thing, seeing Mario in that light, that gets me excited. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I know I'm just a man-child, but I mean, you know what? It's okay. Like, I would prefer to see Mario done this way more than any other way. And if
he's gonna be a movie, yeah, I'd say that's the way to go.
Yeah, and I mean, but hey, the track record of games turning movies, not so good. So hopefully it's the kind of thing that, like, as we've seen Nintendo allow their IPs to be used by other companies and then be given the free reign to kind of do what they want with them to a certain extent. That's almost what needs to happen in this case with the movie. It needs to be, it needs to be given to a writer and somebody that can just really craft a good story for Mario and gang, and I mean, get people that care about. I know it's a different company, but I mean, like, try to get some of the people involved with Wreck-It Ralph or something like those. Those folks just like they understood gaming, and
yeah, I think it's a really smart move for Nintendo to make a movie like this that can like re-enthrall kids with Mario, because Mario, I feel like to kids is kind of like the boring old mascot to video games in a lot of ways. Is how I would feel like I would see him. Like he's this figurehead that's there. He's always been there the whole time, but like he hasn't done anything that I feel like would really captivate me as a kid. The same way that he was video games when we were kids, like that's
right.
He was it. He was the thing. Everybody loved Mario, but now he's just like, yeah, of course Mario, yeah, he's there, but you're not excited about him in the same way that you were when you were a kid. And I feel like getting kids to love Mario the same way they love Pokemon or something like that, or the same way they love Minecraft or whatever these kids are into these days. All right,
get them to love
Mario. Yeah. Getting him to love Mario that way again would be huge to sort of reinvigorate him. I mean, they've reinvigorated him in my eyes with Odyssey, but just to reinvigorate him from a marketing standpoint too, because I feel like it's just kind of like another Mario game. You just expect it to a lot of people, and we got to get them thirsting for Mario, not just expecting Mario.
Yeah, and I mean, and that will happen if it's something great. If it's not any good, like. It'll it'll just go to the wayside.
And if it's not any good, it'll become a meme that we see posted in Twitch chats like nonstop. Some dumb line from the movie.
Exactly. Exactly. So, and Yoshi will be a Velociraptor. So,
Oh, don't look. They already have a perfect track record with Mario movies. You always wanted to see the king of the Koopa Kingdom be a fungus monster. All right. You know that you wanted Bowser to be Dennis Hopper. Like, that's how I picture Bowser at all times. It's just Dennis Hopper on his face. It's perfect. So.
Oh, man.
Although I will say, actual sincere credit to the Mario Brothers movie. I pronounce Babam the way I pronounce Babam because of that movie. Because everybody I know pronounces it Babam, like they say it like that. But in the movie, he winds it up, and the guy sees it, and he's like Babam. So I think Babam is supposed to be like you're stuttering the word bomb, so it's a Babam. Like that's. And that's why I'm a weirdo who says Babam wrong, I guess.
No, I think you're in again good company, man. I've always said it that way too. So, I'm probably Kirby Geek's probably going to get mad at me for saying that, I'm guessing. So jumping in real quick, just kind of reviews, impressions. Doom, fast-paced, 90s style, first-person shooter. Frame rate dips just ever so slightly. Nothing to the point that it's frustrating. Nothing that I really noticed and I was like, oh, what is happening here? It's running at 30 frames, not 60 frames. Having a first-person multiplayer on Nintendo feels good, and this one has the Time Splitters feel to it, which for me is huge. I love the Time Splitters series. It was the redeeming first-person shooter on the GameCube. I know it wasn't exclusive to the GameCube, but it was this is the closest to Perfect Dark that I could get back then, or GoldenEye, And so Doom really has that feel to it. If you've never played it and the Switch is your only way to experience it, don't pass on it. If you like creepy, just kind of blood and guts, it's good. It is good.
I haven't played the Switch version, but I'll say Doom is the best first-person shooter campaign I've played in a decade, I feel like. So I absolutely endorse it if it runs even a little bit okay on the Switch.
No, it's good. I mean, your textures aren't quite. That's what's hard about some of these games coming out right now. I never in a million years would have thought that we would be seeing games coming out on the Switch and the Xbox One and PS4 that were the same game, right? If somebody had told me that when the Switch was releasing, I would have been like, "You're out of your mind." That's not going to be the case. The fact that Doom wasn't a 360 game or a PS3 game, it was an Xbox One and a PS4 game, and they're pulling it off is an impressive feat. But if you're going to compare it to that other game, the other game's going to win hands down. So that's what makes it a little tricky, kind of reviewing these games, because it's man, I've already played the better version of this. How do I? That's the thing about the Switch, though, is it may be better in a frame rate or a texture way, but the Switch has that it factor with the mobility on it that will elevate it right there. You can play it laying in your bed comfortably. It doesn't seem like it's a lot, but it is a huge convenience boost that evens out lesser performance, I feel on Switch titles. You may have played it the best way, but now it's I just want to casually replay it. Boom. There's your answer. Casually replay it on the Switch. There you go. So I do recommend. I was having a lot of fun playing the multiplayer. Honestly, and playing a first-person shooter with the Switch Pro controller, match made in heaven. Match made in heaven. So a little trickier to play it handheld because the sticks are so much shorter, right? That actually is a factor. So keep that in mind. You get used to it, but if you go from the Pro controller to that, you're twitching a little bit more than you were to use when you're using the Pro controller. So, but yeah, good game. Very, very pleased with my purchase there. Rocket League, I did get the full review done. Like I said, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 on the Switch. Rocket League on the go, so that right there is a huge plus. Graphics take a hit on this one also. They use dynamic resolution, so it keeps the game running at 60 frames a second. But but it does come at a cost. Sometimes leaving the game pixelated. Super Nintendo posted a picture in our chat, in our Discord chat, like it almost looked like a game running on like mode 7. Like it had pixelated so much, but it doesn't really dip in frame rate. And so, and when you're playing against people on the Xbox or the PC, you've got that, like the 60 frames is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's me. I mean, as long as it doesn't impact gameplay, like I feel like that wouldn't bother me that much.
And
I'm a guy.
It hovers around like 5. It doesn't even hit 720p in handheld. It hovers around 500 something, and that's when you have the dynamic resolution. When it's docked, you're at 720p, 60, and it doesn't really dip at all. So all the modes are here. It's the full Rocket League package. $20. You know it. I have no regrets. Like I said, the Mario sound when he jumps. The other thing that's totally blown my mind is that the way the cars are designed for the Mario and Luigi car, they look like Mario and Luigi's outfit, and they included the buttons for the overalls. Those are actually the headlights, and I tweeted that out today because I was like, I don't know, it just was blowing my mind. So
that's genius design right there.
Yeah, I was like yeah. I want to shake that guy's hand or that girl's hand that put that together, because that's slick. So, we don't got any listener questions today, but we do have to talk about the Nintendo 64. So in this corner, coming in at, I have no idea what you weigh. So,
a gentleman wouldn't ask and a lady wouldn't tell.
Okay, fair enough. So, the first thing I'm like, hey, we should get this date set up, and you're like, cool. The N64 sucks. I was like, what have I done? Like,
good. Look. It's a little hyperbole when I say the N64 sucks, but I think I get really defensive of something like the Wii U that everybody takes a dump on, let's say, and says is terrible, that I think in every way is equal to or better than the N64. Every conceivable way, other than nostalgia. If I remove nostalgia from the equation and I really look critically at the N64, let's run down every complaint there is about the Wii U. Weird controller, check on the N64, big time. That's a weird controller, man. Like, you can't show that to any person and have their initial reaction be like, oh yeah, totally, that's what a normal controller looks like. Like, that's just, no, we're used to it now, but the first time you saw one, you made fun of it and you know it. Like, there's no way you didn't make fun of that weird, goofy controller. All right? Like, lack of third-party support. N64 has that and then some. The thing has 296 games that were ever released on it, and like, 90% of the good ones were made by Nintendo. Like, I don't really want to go back and play old bad wrestling games or Turok. For the love of God, please no, that foggy nightmare. Like, there are games on it that were and are fun, but only the best ones are still fun. All right, that's all I can say. Like, there's some gems on there, but it really is lacking graphically and gameplay wise. It's just oof on some. It's not its fault. You have to put things in context naturally to judge them. You have to judge them by their era. And it's our first foray into 3D gaming in a big way. And it did a lot of things right for some games and a lot of things wrong for a lot of games. All right. And I think any great game that exists on there, I think a better version is on a later console. I don't think there's a single best entry in the series on the N64 for anything other than Star Fox. Maybe Mario Party. Those are the two. I don't know.
Okay, let's go from there. So you mentioned wrestling.
Yeah.
I don't know that WCW versus NWO or Revenge or WrestleMania 2000 or No Mercy. I don't know that anything has ever topped those as far as just fun factor.
No, the PlayStation 2 era, Raw versus SmackDown games, or WWE Here Comes the Pain, or WWE Shut Your Mouth. Any of those are like, I played those for hours and hours and hours as a kid, and they were nothing but dumb arcadey fun, and they looked better, and they had more characters, and they played better. All right, like I don't care.
Well,
You
I
can be
can't
as
comment on that
nostalgic
because I never
You can be
played
as
it.
nostalgic for the Attitude Era of wrestling as you want. NWO and all that was great. That was a great period of wrestling, not a great period for wrestling games.
All right. I can handle it. Perfect Dark is far superior on the 64 than it is on the 360.
Okay, granted, but you can play a much better version of Perfect Dark on an Xbox. You can play the original Perfect Dark on the Xbox 360 arcade or the Xbox One arcade or in the Rare collection with twin stick control as opposed to a stick and C buttons, which just does not control as well.
Okay, let's talk about that for a second. Because I heard you talking about this morning where you're like, you can't even go back and play those games. So, back in the day, when we played the first-person shooters, and it was because of Turok, you actually ran around with the C buttons, right? I'm holding it up right now. Mm-hmm. Okay. You ran around with the C buttons, and you looked with the analog stick. That's actually backwards from how we play everything now. Our right hand does all the looking. Well, I found this out because I would a few years back I plugged it in and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't run around like this. It's not fun. Like this is not good. What I found out, if you move your hand to the D-pad, it makes them run around and you can still hit all your buttons, so you can actually play Perfect Dark and GoldenEye exactly how you play now. But
isn't strafing differently? Isn't strafing?
No, you just have to switch the control style to like 1.2 or whatever it was. So you can do it. So I
can't. You're right. I could play with a D-pad, the N64 D-pad, and a broken N64 joystick, and it would be just as good. You're right.
I'm just trying to help, brother. I'm just trying to help.
I know. I understand. That's good. That is a good tip for anybody who wants to go back and suffer some like really mediocre in comparison first-person shooter PvP with like their one friend that they have who was over to play. Like that's it. If you want to do like N-bomb only Perfect Dark matches, I guess you can do that.
There we go. Well, see, Hate's saying, what about Ocarina of Time? But you haven't.
You mean by far the most overrated video game in video game history?
My goodness.
Right? You mean that one? You mean the game that is like just okay? That it set a lot of precedents and like in context, amazing for its time, but you can't tell me that Breath of the Wild is not an improvement in like every single category of Ocarina of Time. Are you kidding? They're not even in the same league. It's like comparing Pong to Super Mario Odyssey. Like, it's just, what are you even saying to me right now to try to put those two in the same, like, no, they don't belong in the same breath. Ocarina of Time is a Link to the Past remake in 3D that is just okay. Like, the first time I played it, because I played through the series in order when I was like 18. No nostalgia on any of them, right? Like I told you earlier, I'd never played any of them. So I was like, all right, I'm going to play through them in the order they were released. This is my first time playing through them. Let's do it. I played Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Ocarina of Time, and I was like, man, this just feels like I'm playing the exact same story of Link to the Past, but like with kind of awkward, crappy 3D gameplay. Like, that's all it felt like to me. There was nothing like original or that much fun in it to me at the time. I was bored for most of my Ocarina of Time playthrough.
Goodness.
I'm not gonna lie, Majora's Mask was infinitely more fun for me. I would accept Majora's Mask in the conversation of best Zelda game before Ocarina of Time because it does unique, fun things.
So, first of all,
I know people hate me when I say this. I know.
If you're just getting here, our retro section is a debate on the N64. So it's a friendly debate. Like we're just like it's literally just for. He was calling me out in his chat today, like saying the N64 was the worst console, and I'm like, we're having a debate tonight. So. But the problem is you like basically took all the wind out of my sails the moment you say you have to take nostalgia out of it because
with nostalgia some of my favorite games of all time are on the N64. Mario 64 with nostalgia is like the greatest game I ever played in my life. Without nostalgia, I'm like, well, Mario Odyssey is clearly better. Like it just is. It's just I can't help but look at it that way. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I wish I had any nostalgia for Ocarina of Time to love it the way that everybody else loves it. I wish there was something in my life I could defend as vehemently as Ocarina of Time and have as much passion about. But I just think that it isn't that good of a game because I have to go back and play it now. I can't play it 20 years ago not knowing that there's going to be better iterations of it out there. It's just all there is to it.
Mario Kart 64, he hardly touched on.
I mean, I've played it since, but I don't think it controls as well as something like Mario Kart 8. I think Mario Kart 8 is better. Like, I really do. I don't think it's as huge of a gap with the Mario Kart franchise. I think pretty much every Mario Kart game has been good. You know, I don't think that it's like the difference between Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild or anything. I don't think there's been that Mario Kart game that's like, wow, this is the generation defying game, you know? Like it's just Mario Karts are all pretty good, but I think I would play Mario Kart 8 over any of the others.
So one of the things I did not anticipate was how triggered Chad would get.
Oh, I knew they would be. Trust me, I've had some people really hate me for not loving the N64 as much as them. People do not like it when you don't love that console.
Well, what about games like Donkey Kong 64?
Well, you have a valid point there in that they stopped doing collectathon games because people didn't like them.
Yeah.
People didn't really like Donkey Kong 64 when it came out. It seemed it got kind of mediocre mixed reviews.
Right.
I would take I would take a Donkey Kong 64. Like that's valid. Other than the fact that a lot of people say like Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze is like the best 2D platformer. Like some people say it's one of the best 2D platformers ever, and they're not in the same genre, but they're the same series about Donkey Kong. Yeah. So like I would say you get a better Donkey Kong game if you play that one. But I will give you that style of game kind of went out after the N64 for some reason. I don't really know why. Like I guess because Rare went out. They made all the ones that right Banjo-Kazooie and Donkey Kong 64. They made those and those were it. Yeah.
Well, they just turned into Assassin's Creed, that's all.
See, here's the thing. Somebody in chat is saying Pac-Man was amazing for its time, but it's SHIT compared to Star Wars Battlefront. But I don't agree with that. I think Pac-Man holds up and plays as perfectly today as it did then. Its graphics are worse, but the gameplay is still tight and perfect. Like it is executed exactly the way that the creators wanted it to be executed. You can tell with old 3D games that they couldn't do everything they wanted to do perfectly. That's like that's just how it is, you know? Like there aren't a lot of 2D games that come out that blow old 2D games out of the water. That's why I love 2D games because they're simple in their design and it feels like they managed to pull off everything they were going for. All right.
Everybody is so true.
Oh, of course they are. I'm sorry, everybody in chat. I don't think it's nonsensical.
This is my fault. This is my fault. I brought this upon us. Shame. Okay, I do have a game though that I'm going to say. No, it is not better than the games that came after it, but there were very. I would say it's better than Star Fox, and that's Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Okay. I never played Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Oh, so that's such a bummer. That is such a bummer.
I wish I had. The fact that you describe it as better than Star Fox is a huge, huge boost for me to want to play it because Star Fox is my favorite N64 game to this day. So I would.
Star Fox 64 is a blast. I love that game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even typically compare them to the two together, but Factor 5 reverse engineered the 64 to be able to squeeze every bit of power out of that thing, and then that was before they were given the expansion pack, and so then when they added the expansion pack, it actually boosted the textures and everything. Like they were geniuses when it came to developing games for that system, and and plus Star Wars, right? So it was it was great. Now Shadows of the Empire, you're talking like no more than 2 characters on the screen at a time, like, but yes, I mean, of course, looking back on those games now, even with some nostalgia, like some of them can be hard to control.
Yeah,
but they were the front runners of this technology. And
they were the pioneers, but I don't want to drive the first car that was ever made on the road today.
So, okay.
No, when I say the N64 sucks, what I really mean, I don't actually mean it sucks. What I mean is I think if you were to hand every Nintendo console that was released with like some of its best games to a kid today, the N64 would place, I would think, bottom on their list in terms of like they don't have any nostalgia for it. The gameplay is going to be the most awkward on that console. The controller is going to be weird for them. I think that's the one that would get ranked last by most people with zero other information about context or anything like that. That's all I mean. When I say it sucks, I just mean I think it falls down.
Captain Logan says there's a reason why people restore classics.
I don't know why Captain Logan says so to the PlayStation 1. PlayStation 1's even worse than the N64. I'm only talking about N64 games right now. PlayStation 1, at least, I mean, PlayStation 1 has some like, PlayStation 1 has a lot of series that died off after the PlayStation 1 that make it hold up, in my mind, nostalgically a little bit better. Like, there weren't really any good Crash Bandicoot games or Spyro games after it, so I can't be like, well, I'd rather play this Crash Bandicoot, Like, so at least it has that going for it. But PlayStation 1 sucks even worse than the N64, like, for 99% of its library. So I'm not...
Except like Metal Gear or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Metal Gear Solid. But even that, I'd rather play the GameCube remake of Metal Gear Solid if it were me. But no, like I'm saying, this is only Nintendo consoles, so don't say I think Atari or anything like that. All right, this is Nintendo only. Which one do I think would rank the lowest amongst people? And don't throw some bullcrap 1976 Pong console from Japan at me, all right? We're talking things that took cartridges here. Cartridges or discs. Don't give me the SNES satellite as your answer. I don't want that baloney here.
Well, you said the Virtual Boy was already below it, so we did
That's true. Virtual Boy, yeah, that one does. That one... If we count, I never know if I count the Virtual Boy as a console or a handheld. I don't even know where to put the thing because it's neither. It sucks in either category. So I don't know where to put that thing.
All right, man. Well, hey, this has been a ton of fun, dude. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for triggering everybody in chat.
That's what I do. That's what I'm here for.
Don't hold it against him. He was I coaxed him into playing the villain for this, so. So, well, hey, tell us all the places where we can find you.
Go to twitter.com/megamagwitch and twitch.tv/megamagwitch. And if you really want to watch some Destiny content, you can go to youtube.com/huskyraid. Okay.
There you go. That's pretty fun. The Husky Raid stuff, the dancing, all that stuff.
We try to have fun.
Yeah, so. It's good stuff. Oh, Kirby wasn't really triggered. Captain Logan says it's just depressing.
I'm sorry. I'll go back and look. I go back and I play my Super Smash 64 to this day, and I play my Star Fox. I play my Mario 64s. I've got Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, even though I snoozed through it. All right, I it's still a Zelda game, so it's still fun. I just think I honestly do think that that's the worst 3D Zelda game, other than, well, I haven't played Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword, so I should say of the 5 I've played. But that's besides the point. I'll let you continue wrapping up.
No, it's all good, man. It's all good. Guys, you're gonna find me on Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, YouTube, everything. N64Josh. Like I said, my Rocket League review will be going up tonight, right after this show is uploaded. You're going to be able to find all the links to this episode to follow Mega Magwitch and all that stuff on thelootcave.com.
No one's following me after this discussion.
thelootcave.com/NPC48. Yeah, so new website, new Nintendo website is the URL's been purchased. It's coming very soon. I am looking for contributors. I've been talking to a handful of people, so make sure to message me. My DMs on Twitter are open. Join my Discord. Talk to me that way. There's plenty of ways. Leave us a review. We really could use more reviews on iTunes. If you have a second, that would really, really be great. I'd really, really appreciate that. We do the show live Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Twitch.tv/N64Josh. Come hang out. It's a good time when we debate the N64 and watch chat go crazy. So remember, audibletrial.com/NPC. Get yourself a free audiobook. OPSeat.com. It's the gaming chair I sit in, and I really like. OPSeat.com. Use coupon code N64Josh. And if you're thinking about starting your own podcast, go to podbean.com/NPC. So I wanted to say thanks to everybody that is here. Captain Logan, Hate, anybody that's just lurking. Kirby, thank you for being here. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. We do appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next one. So take it easy. Take it easy, my man.
Yes, thank you for having me.
All right. The podcast feed is done. Let's find someone to raid.
People don't understand this whole argument that I have against the N64 started as somebody hating on the Wii U and me pointing out that they were a huge N64 fan, and me just pointing out that the N64 I was like, you realize like every criticism you have about the Wii U exists for the N64 as well, and it's worse in a lot of ways. Like and they did not take kindly to that.
Gotcha. Well, it looks like I found Ash Smash. We've rated her before. She is playing Super Mario 64.
Perfect.
So,
what a fun, great game for its time.
So let's go. Let's go. I think I'm just gonna do the host command because the raid command.
It doesn't really work. Nobody jumps in on it. It's too new.
Not really.
Yeah.
So
it should just instantly turn your chat into their chat. Like, I don't understand why it's an opt-in thing. Even it's just weird to me.
Yeah, it's a little bit odd for sure. So
it's worse than just when you host somebody, it gives you the option to go to their channel already. What's the difference? I don't get it.
So there is her channel. If you guys want to go say hi, hit her with an N64 raid. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take it easy. /host